I'm Dean. I'm the dad.
I'm Laura. I'm the mom.
And I'm Krys. I'm the daughter.
And together we are Family Plot. Very nice. Very nice. Well, thank you again for tuning in to the wonderful show. We've got some spooky season fun for you. But first, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. First and foremost, our Patreon. We've just got 2 levels, $1, $3. It's a monthly donation. You get all sorts of cool stuff if you join. So please feel free, join our Patreon. Also, if you can't do a monthly donation, you can do a one-time donation of $1 or $2 through Buy Me a Coffee. And most importantly, though, if you enjoy the show, please share it on social media.
With friends.
With family.
With everybody.
Absolutely.
And if you don't enjoy the show, please keep it to yourself. Awesome. Yeah, that works.
Caring is sharing.
Sharing is caring.
However, can't say something nice. Don't say nothing at all.
Exactly. So, what are we talking about today? Well, on September 22nd.
We're talking about what can happen when people are terrible and stupid and don't care about other people.
And egotistical.
Total egotistical.
Yeah. A-holes.
Now, on September 22nd, 2006.
My birthday of all days.
2 boys, Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk, and that last name is spelled A-D-A-M, like Adam, C-I-K, but it's pronounced Adamczyk, visited their friends Cassie Jo Stoddart and her boyfriend Matt Beckham. Cassie was house sitting for her aunt and uncle who had left for the weekend, paying Cassie to watch the house and make sure their dogs and cats were fed. That night, the 2 boys snuck in, dressed in hooded costumes with painted masks. They intended to murder the couple. However, later, when the family returned, Cassie was found dead, stabbed multiple times, and she was found by her aunt, uncle, and niece when they returned home in this creepy, spooky season episode of the Family Plot Podcast. But first,
Krista has a corner.
It's not just any corner, it's Krista's Corner.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to the corner.
Hi, Krista, how are you?
I'm a little upset. I'm going to be honest with you. I watched a little bit of a document with my mother. Hello, Mother.
We were actually doing research, getting prepared for the episode. Don't fall out of your chair, dear.
I'm impressed. I'm happy.
All right. I dislike these people very muchly, and you and Mom
definitely wanted to make sure that we give this all of the attention and consideration and respect that it needs and it deserves, because the Stoddart family definitely,
I'm with you. And that's why, for those of you who don't know, we do a thing on Facebook and Twitter every week where I put out a picture that has something to do with that week's episode and ask people what the episode is. The picture I went with was Pocatello High School because I didn't want to put Cassie's face out there, and which would be kind of a sad reminder to her family if they listen or find it. And I certainly didn't want to glorify the killers by putting their faces on it. So I went with Pocatello.
Especially considering well, at least at the time, were definitely very conceited and felt like they were much more grandiose than they actually were, because really they were just chickens but we'll get into that. Anyway.
Yes. So what's happening in Krista's corner?
You know, I hadn't thought that far today. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't even think I was gonna have my voice today. I sounded like a goose that got a dog toy trapped in its throat this morning.
Well, it's between your thyroid and seasonal allergies. That's going to happen from time to time.
That was fun. I like my outfit today. I'm also wearing different hair today. My hair is up. Can you believe it? It's out of my face. You can see my face.
I don't think it's as pretty as some styles you've worn, but I like it.
I just don't have any makeup on today because I don't feel like trying. And sometimes, you know what? Don't let anyone tell you that's not okay, because it is.
That is true.
If you don't feel like trying, it's okay.
It's okay for a while.
Yes.
It's not a good life choice, like down the line, but it's okay for a while. Like if you need a day, take a day.
That.
Self-care is a thing.
Self-care, yeah. Make sure you have those self-care days. Even I struggle with those, like, self-care days. I have those, like, every 3 or 4 months, maybe. I should have more than that, but I feel like I don't have enough time for that.
Well, that's because you are a lot like your mom, and neither one of you knows when to stop.
I do everything for everybody until I'm exhausted, and then I don't do anything.
Yep.
And your mom is the same way.
And then after I'm done being exhausted, or I just overexert myself.
I'm looking at your thing.
Oh yeah, it's She-Ra. Not She-Ra. It's Catra from She-Ra. My bad.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. I was just looking at the sticker. At first I thought it was something from what's that show you watch with the
Owl House?
Yeah.
Something from the Owl House. No, this is something me and Mom watched together. It was pretty good.
It was the She-Ra remake that turned up on Netflix. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we watched, and then Mom got into Critical Role.
I'm still on
Yeah. I think for your next birthday, I'm gonna try to do something Critical Role themed.
Anyway,
I'm not great at it, but I will.
Ways off.
Yeah.
I just had a birthday, and I'm already so old. Let's not.
You know, every time I talk about you guys, I'm just like, yeah, my dad's 52, and I think my mom's around 43 or something.
Yeah, she made us both younger. I think we'll keep her.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because every time I talk about you guys, I'm just like, I don't remember their birthdays, but all I know is I think she's 42 or whatever. I don't know anymore.
I'm 9 years older than your mom. Technically, I'm kind of robbing the cradle, but I'm okay with that.
No one in my family is going to say anything because, a lot of them are gone already.
Well, that's not very funny.
Well, it is what it is.
So, you didn't school today. You took a day off. You took a mental health day.
No, she took a illness day because she wasn't.
I did not feel good. I was,
Right, but by the time you were actually feeling better around 3 o'clock, school would have been almost over. Yeah. So, you took a sick day, but you also needed the mental health boost.
I made a super good pie filling.
I know that stuff was awesome, and it was
into a pie.
And it's so simple. Like it's only got 2 ingredients, three. And you can put it in any pie shell.
Yeah, and also it makes ice cream.
Wow,
it does. It really.
So we were talking about that. I was like, may not ever buy ice cream again because you can do the same process and just use something else in there to flavor it instead of the limeade, and you can make it into ice cream. You just put it in a container.
I wonder if there's a watermelon punch.
I'm sure that.
I'm sure
I
there
know
is.
that Juicy Juice makes a strawberry watermelon.
Okay. That could be awesome.
Yep.
I would try that.
Yep. We were talking about all the different flavor combinations you could
Yeah,
do.
her and Dimmix were talking each other's ears off about it. I was just like, it didn't take that long.
No. We were losing our minds. Like, oh my God, this is so good. We could do so many different things. Wow.
And, it's simple. And simple is good.
Unnamed person who I shall not name right now, was a little upset that I didn't go to school today.
Aww,
She was just like,
you.
I miss you. I'm just like, I miss you too.
Well, maybe you can tell her how to listen to the podcast, and then when she misses you, she can hear your beautiful voice as you talk about your day and her and all the things you talk about, especially the stuff in your corner.
Her about it.
And she doesn't want to listen?
She just doesn't have a lot of time for that.
Oh, yeah, that's right, because her mom's kind of
Strict, yeah.
Gateway, and because of the whole Christian thing.
She has a different sort of.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Like, I've heard her mom is really nice, but it's like, and it's hard to get on her bad side, but like, meh.
I get it.
I get it too. I understand.
It's rough.
It's a different way of teaching.
It's a different world than where you're coming from.
It's definitely like I should.
Which I think was actually part of the song.
For the different world sitcom. Yeah, I think so too.
I think I should have more cheese in this.
Which was a spin-off of another sitcom that we won't talk about because I don't like one of the people involved.
Gotcha. Well, it's fairly common, so I'm pretty sure you just told everybody without saying it, so it works. All right. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about this week?
This chili is really good. Mom fixed it, but
you did great. It just needed
I did
a little
something
extra.
wrong.
No, you didn't do anything wrong. You worked with what you had, and I just adjusted it just a smidge. That's what we do.
That's called cooking.
Yes.
Called cooking. It's fine.
Yes.
And you did a wonderful job.
You did a great job.
You know, a good thing to start off with if you're a new cooker is spaghetti.
You do so good with spaghetti.
Oh my God, I'd rather eat your spaghetti than mine.
Yep.
Is that really good?
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right.
Also, the potatoes that I've made. Oh my God, those
Speaking of potatoes, my potatoes today were super fire.
Those were amazing.
Those were pretty good. I ate the rest of them that were in there. I stole them.
Eating them.
I stole them. Yeah, Dad walked in there and he's just like,
oh man, they're gone.
Dude, no, he was just like, he came in there and he was just like, oh.
Do I need to do?
Well, actually, I just needed to get through at the time.
Do I need to do extra claps, or was the one I did okay?
Yeah, the one you did was fine.
Okay.
The one you did was fine. So let's talk about where this story happens, because that's important. Now, I've kind of given it away because I said that I used the Pocatello High School as my picture.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it happens in Pocatello, Idaho. Now, Pocatello is the 5th largest city in Idaho by the amount of space it takes up, but the 6th largest based on population. As of today, it still has a population of less than 60,000 people. Compare that to our own home city of Independence, Missouri, with its population of just over 122,000. Pocatello is known as Gateway to the West and was founded in the late 1800s. It is mountainous, like much of Idaho, and while there is definitely a town center, as you get out from there, homes get further and further apart. Many folks from Idaho like their privacy, and Pocatello caters to that in some sense. Pocatello is supposedly named after a local indigenous chieftain. Now, the Whispering Cliffs Drive address where the murder takes place is a sprawling 2-acre homestead with fenced pastures, and it's well away from central Pocatello, and because of its 2-acre size, it's well away from other homes on Whispering Cliffs Drive. So it's pretty secluded.
Yeah.
Born December 21st, 1989, Cassie loved animals. She also loved people and never wanted to see them hurt. She tried to help those around her. By the time she was 16, she had a reputation for being very responsible. Between this and her reputation for responsible behavior, twice?
Yeah, I don't know why I put it like that. I think I had something else and then changed it and didn't read the rest of the sentence, so now it looks weird. You can skip that part. And you can just go to...
Is why her aunt and uncle hired her to watch the house at Whispering Cliffs Drive, where they lived in Pocatello, Idaho.
Right.
Now, before we move on, I'd like to mention that I see a lot of myself in this woman, or in this young lady, because she's so dead. Rest in peace. But, like...
Should we also had heard in some of our research that she had aspirations
to be an attorney, and which is
and
one
she
of the
was
drives.
also interested in art and music, which Krista is as well. So Krista is really feeling
connections.
So yeah, you're feeling a connection, and it's my fault because
shy.
I did. Huh?
She was also shy.
Now, it's also my fault because I did not highlight it, but the person's name that you were talking about is actually Cassie Jo Stoddart. So I wanted to make sure.
She was the victim in this, and yes.
Right.
All right. The second person that we are going to talk about is Matt Beckham, and Matt was Cassie's boyfriend. Also 16 years old. And Matt came over to spend some time with Cassie at the house on Whispering Cliffs Drive that evening on September 22nd. He showed up there at 6 p.m. He came over to watch videos with his girlfriend. They were joined later by Brian Draper and Tori Pettinger. Cassie, at that point, gave everyone a tour of her aunt and uncle's house. Matt and Cassie had a good relationship, and Matt would eventually be interrogated and given a lie detector test about his story, which he would pass. Matt was deeply attached to Cassie, and her death would devastate him for quite some time. Matt may have been in the 11th grade as well as Cassie and her two killers. However, he may have also been a year older. We couldn't really find that out in our research due to the ages of these victims and the criminals, the attackers, the murderers. There is some information that was a little bit harder to come by.
Right. Yeah. Everybody in the story is 16, but he could be a young 16 and be in the 12th grade, you know?
Yeah.
So I wasn't sure. Probably he was in the 11th with everybody else, but it's possible. So I had to. Now, Brian Lee Draper and Tori Michael Adamczyk were born March 21st, 1990 and June 21st, 1990, respectively. Draper spent most of his life in Utah. Later, his family moved to Pocatello, Idaho, where he was in the 11th grade with Tori and Cassie Stoddart. Tori and Brian were both huge movie fans, and they began to make their own movies. They were friends, and several days before the murder, they had filmed Cassie asking her questions as she retrieved books from her locker as she was between classes. Something that really doesn't happen much anymore.
Yeah, no. Most of the time they carry around a backpack now.
And actually, not only several days before the murder, they actually filmed her as well on the day of the murder.
Okay. See, I I was looking at like 3 or 4 different sources, and they all had different things to
We
say
were
about it.
watching the video, and the video has a timestamp, and the timestamp was September 22nd. So we know that he did film her the morning of the murder at her. One of them filmed her the morning of the murder at her locker.
It was probably Tori. She knew him better than Brian. Because
No, it was Brian. Brian asked if she knew where Tori went because apparently he was supposed to meet up with him around 7:15.
Anyway, yeah, that's a little too in detail, but
and because I realized looking through this that I forgot, I think now because we've introduced all the players in this
right.
in the drama. I mean, there's others like the police and stuff, but the central characters, we've introduced them. So I think we should take a little time for a word from our sponsors. I think this is a good place.
We could use some sponsoring to get through this episode. Hey, Krista.
Yeah.
Do you feel sponsored?
I do. Do you?
I do, oddly. Hey, honey, we feel sponsored.
Yay!
Yay!
So, hon, let's turn the next part over to you.
So, now that we've introduced everyone and we've given a little bit of the history and the backstory of what happened, now we're going to actually get down to the actual event. So, the murder took place on Friday, September 22nd, 2006. Cassie left school to go to her aunt and uncle's house on Whispering Cliffs Drive, as we've already said. She arrived there and was joined at around 6 p.m. by her boyfriend, Matt Beckham. They hung out for a while when they were unexpectedly joined by Brian Draper and Tori Adamczyk. Now, when they showed up initially, Cassie was mad at Matt. She accused him of inviting people over to party at her aunt and uncle's place, since no adults would be there. He denied the accusations, claiming that he had mentioned to Brian and Tori that they would be there that night. So Cassie gives all of them a tour of the house. Police would learn later that during the tour, Brian had unlocked a back door quietly so that he and Tori could get back into the house later that evening. After the tour, Matt and Cassie decided to watch Kill Bill Volume 2.
A great movie, I should add. I really enjoyed it.
I still have never seen it, but that's okay. Tori and Brian claim that they want to go and see a movie at the local theater. Tori and Brian leave Matt and Cassie to watch their movie. However, unbeknownst to the couple watching the movie, soon Brian and Tori snuck back in through the unlocked back door. They find the breaker panel in the basement and turn off the power. Upstairs, Matt wants to go downstairs and check on things in the basement, but one of the dogs is at the top of the stairs barking at something downstairs, and Cassie just wants Matt to stay close. Getting bored with waiting for the couple to come downstairs so that they can ambush them, Brian and Tori turn the power to some of the house back on. Terrified now, Cassie asks Matt if he can stay the night. Matt did call his mom to check with her, and she absolutely refuses, although she does offer to let Cassie stay at her place for the evening. Cassie, though, feels responsible for the pets and the home as her aunt and uncle are paying her to house sit for the weekend so she declines to go spend the night at her boyfriend's house. Downstairs, Brian and Tori continue to mess with the power and do other things in hopes of luring Matt and Cassie downstairs to ambush them. The couple stays upstairs watching the movie and does not respond. At 10:30 p.m., Matt's mom arrives and Matt goes home, leaving Cassie alone in the dark. Cassie lays down on the couch and goes to sleep. At some point during the evening, Draper and Adam Chick kill the power again, hoping that Cassie will come downstairs by herself. With no one coming downstairs, the boys decide to sneak upstairs. Seeing Cassie asleep, they slam the closet door in hopes of waking her in fear. Cassie sleeps through it, and so the boys attack her. They stab her around 30 times, with somewhere between 9 and 11 of those wounds being fatal all on their own. The boys fled the house and drove home, filming themselves discussing the murder. The last thing on the tape is Draper telling Adam Chick that they need to be cool and discuss what they have to do to not get caught. So here's the thing, though, and I'm not sure. So as we said, we were watching this. Not only these two, and we may get into it further in the show, but these two were not only planning to kill Matt and Cassie.
They were planning on
killing many people.
Like a full serial killer.
They tried to get a hold of another girl before Matt and Cassie.
They were trying to get 2 people at a church.
Yeah.
And use them as sacrifices.
Yeah, they were just all over the place. They wanted to have a huge death toll. They were thrilled about doing this. They were comparing themselves to other mass murderers.
They were comparing themselves to Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy and lots of other people. They were pretty off.
Yeah, they were comparing themselves to Freddy Krueger and stuff too. It's like, no.
All right, Krys.
Matt calls Cassie as soon as he wakes, but she doesn't answer her phone. He calls his friend Tori, and the two spend most of the day together, hanging out while Matt makes call after call to Cassie, who of course does not answer. Tori is giving him all sorts of rational reasons that Cassie might not be answering. No one else is very worried. They honestly have few reasons to be. Hold on. I keep getting that thing stuck in my throat. I don't know what it is. Cassie's family believe her to be alive and well house sitting for her aunt and uncle. They don't expect to see her till sometime Sunday. No one else has any reason to be concerned. That all changes the next morning.
So the next morning, if you're keeping track, is Sunday the 24th of September. Cassie's aunt and uncle return from their weekend trip. Their 13-year-old daughter, Cassie's niece, bounds into the home as she loves Cassie. So she's looking forward to seeing her aunt, I guess. So she goes bounding into the house. However, upon arriving in the living room, she sees the aftermath of the murder. Cassie's aunt and uncle call the Pocatello Sheriff's Department. Immediately, the police are on the scene looking for clues and attempting to figure out how and why Cassie was murdered. Upon making several phone calls, the police soon realize the last person to see Cassie alive, as far as anyone knows, is her boyfriend, Matt. Police interview him at the local police station, and right away they are concerned. When they tell Matt that Cassie has been stabbed to death, he gives them almost no reaction. This is not in my script, but I want to take a moment to talk about this. That's not real surprising to me because he's 16. If Blue was out walking and something happened to him, and I told Krys, hey, Blue got hit by a car, she may not have initial reaction, not because she doesn't love her sister, not because she's glad, or sorry, brother, not because she doesn't love her brother, not because she's glad something happened to him, but rather because it's hard to wrap your mind around, you know, especially when you haven't lost someone that close to you at that young of an age.
I'm sorry, but
Well, and just and to piggyback off of that, it's also got to be hard for him to unpack because he wanted to stay there and protect her. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but like I get it. For some people, there is no instant reaction, but because I'm so sensitive, that would hit so hard. You said Blue got ran over a bus. I'm just like, I'm instantly crying my freaking eyes out.
I'm just saying, at 16, death, and especially the death of someone that close, is going to be hard to unpack. And like I wanted to mention when we were talking about the mom's decision, no, you can't stay. I often wonder if she like feels any sense of responsibility. Not that she should, but because if I were in that situation, that would be my response.
Yeah.
No, you are not staying over with your girlfriend at a house where there's no one to supervise.
Absolutely.
You know, that I definitely see where that is. And it would be, but at the same time, I can also see where you might have some severe regrets looking at what's happened.
Absolutely. And I'm with you. And as a parent of a child that age, absolutely, there is no way my child is staying in that house. And if she had let him stay, he would be dead too.
Yeah, almost certain. Almost certain.
Certainly. No, there's no almost, but at the same time, I'd like to talk about myself a little bit. Like, if I were to hear that somebody close to me had passed away, especially being murdered, I would not just stand there and be like, okay, whatever. I would instantly start crying and shaking because that's what I do. I have, like, major anxiety about those things, and I think about that stuff, like, all the time, and it's just like, if it happens, I'm just like, oh.
But there's something to the idea as well that a piece of information that is so totally out of left field and foreign to you that it takes some time to get there. Like there could be no reaction until it, like your brain can actually function. I remember that when my dad called me and told me that my brother had been murdered and did not break down then and there. I was shaking and I was upset, but I did not break down until I got home and got some more information on what had actually happened.
Right. And he almost certainly had a lot to unpack.
Of course.
And he almost certainly had guilt, at least survivor's guilt.
Absolutely.
If not guilt at I should have stayed or I should have pushed her to come home with me or whatever. So the fact that he doesn't react means nothing to me.
Right.
You know. But so beyond that, though, they find they really lack any other evidence to tie him to the crime.
Yeah, and he took like a lie detector test, you said, right?
Right. He lays out the events of Friday evening, and the police offer to give him a lie detector. He agrees and passes. They don't clear him as a suspect, but they turn their attention to his story. At that point, he's not their top suspect anymore.
Right.
He's not cleared, but they've moved him down. They would clear him before they settle on their murders because they talked to their mom, and his story just lines up from everything he said, right? So now they don't, like I said, they didn't clear him as a suspect, but they do decide to speak to both Brian and Tori to confirm their part of what Matt told them. The two 11th graders say that they came over because they believed it would be a party. When the party never materialized, the boys claim they went to the local movie theater. When asked about the movie they saw, the boys gave vague answers. This concerned the police, who went to the theater to show pictures of Brian and Tori to the employees and ask if they'd seen them Friday night. Now, there was one person in the theater who thought he might have seen them on Friday, but no one else has any recollection of the young men. And since they are at the movies quite a lot of employees at least recognize them by sight, if not by name.
Right.
The police believe the one person who thinks he might have seen them has the date wrong. So they bring the two boys in for questioning once more. This time, however, they press for details. It becomes readily apparent that the two young men have not seen the movie they claimed, and now they have no alibi for the time of the murder. Adamczyk stays mute, but they press Draper hard. He finally cracks, telling them that he watched as Adamczyk committed the murder. He then leads police to the Black Rock Canyon area, where he hid a trash bag with the hunting knife and dagger that he and Tori used, as well as two more knives, the clothes the young men had worn, and the painted masks they wore when they murdered Cassie.
Yeah, okay. I think this was like switched around a little bit, like yeah, right. But like in the documentary, like it's different in the documentary than it is like in
No,
people.
this is after the murder. We didn't go all the way through there.
Right.
They're
like
talking
they
about.
said that. I thought they said something about like the police finding the stuff in their car, not in a bag next to them.
No, but I'm sure that they went through their car and got more
Of that, yeah.
got more blood and stuff off of the car once they knew.
So, in addition to all of this other evidence, they find the videotape. Right? The tape, which has their hallway conversation with Cassie, in which they also discuss the murder itself, mentioning that they plan to kill Cassie Jo Stoddart, who's their friend, but the quote they make is, "Everyone has to make sacrifices."
Yep.
As well as a section they filmed immediately after the murders.
Yep.
The Pocatello, Idaho Sheriff's Department announced the arrest of both Draper and Adamczyk on September 26th, and after further interrogation, Draper admitted he had stabbed Cassie, but claimed it was at Adamczyk's insistence.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. You took a whole freaking documentary on that stuff. You were acting like it was an interview. You definitely wanted to be in this. Do not go being like, oh, I didn't do anything. What happened to that confidence you had before killing the person?
Here, but something else that the person who had done the compilation, or one of the compilations that we were watching today, stated was that there were snippets of video that the police found where these two had been planning all of this all the way back to March of that year.
And
so
then,
this was literally a very long, drawn-out process
I
for these two.
think, what's a guy with the stupid-looking meat log neck?
I think that was Adamczyk.
Yeah, I think that was Adamczyk. He had a crush on her.
Unreported crush, they had said as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, yeah. Just so frustrating and upsetting.
Now, the boys claim to have gotten for the murder after watching the movie Scream. And on the tape, when they're driving away, they liken themselves to serial killers like Ted Bundy, the Hillside Stranglers, and the two young men who committed the Columbine massacre. Dylan Klebold, and I forget the other one's name, but it doesn't matter because they committed the Columbine massacre, and I would really like the whole world to forget who they are. In fact,
Bury them under a big dark hole and throw away the key, kind of thing.
Now, in fact, Adam Chick, at age 12, had been accused with coming up with a plan to take out his school, but he claimed the whole thing was a joke and was never punished further, nor was it investigated further. So Adam Chick may have been looking for something like this for quite a while.
To Idaho, he found somebody who he could team up with, and he felt brave enough to do it.
Yeah. So the boys were tried and convicted to life in prison for the murder, plus another 30 years for conspiracy to commit murder. Both boys have filed multiple appeals. Now, the conviction for the murder, the life sentence has been kind of set aside because while after this happened, science came out and realized that teen brains are kind of weird and they're always evolving up until you're like 21. So the person that committed the crime technically doesn't exist after the age of 21. And so there's some conversation about whether or not it's okay to punish people this young who commit these crimes. Now, my take on that is, okay, if we're talking about a fight and one guy goes too far and kills the other guy, I'll have that conversation with you.
But to plan a murder for 6 months?
Yeah. To plan a murder for 6 months and to be so glib about it. Like, we're killing a friend, but everybody's got to make sacrifices. Yeah. And then on top of that, he spent the next day Tori spent the next day with Matt.
That's just sick and twisted.
And the thing is that at one point, now I was never sure if they wanted to kill Matt because none of them ever really said it.
No, they did. Well, they did in the videos. They said that they were going to kill Matt and Cassie, and they wanted to have a high murder count, and they were going to kill lots of other people. They were going to kill as many as they could.
But
they sure did.
But Matt almost okay, let's say they didn't plan. Matt almost certainly would have died anyway because they were. I mean, what are you going to do? Push him into a corner while you stab his girlfriend to death and then go, hey, Matt, it's us. Let's let bygones be bygones.
No, they were going to try to stab, they were both going to try to take a knife and stab him at the same time. I'm pretty sure.
Anyway, so.
It was sick and twisted.
Yeah. And the thing is the appeals that they have filed are going nowhere. Now,
I mean, there is so much. There are still YouTube videos just tons of YouTube videos about this. And of course, ID and everybody else has done a ton of things on it. So absolutely, there's so much proof of their state of mind and everything as they were going up on. They were talking to the FBI and future serial killers in these videos. Like, they just have these huge, narcissistic, blown up heads that they just thought they were so cool. Process of natural selection. I mean, just some of the things that they say in these videos that were their own words just are nauseating.
Oh, yeah. I remember Tori says at one point, there shouldn't be any law against murder.
Yep.
But when you make a law against something, people are just going to want to do it more. And I'm like, you're an idiot. That's the first law you made.
Very narcissistic. Very, very. So the aftermath, of course, the aftermath is obviously heartbreak for so many family members. Heartbreak for so many people that are affected by this. And, you have to even heartbreak for the parents of these two boys because while what they did was sick and twisted. Their parents, their families may be very nice people who are heartbroken as well. And, that would be a horrible position to be in. So, sometime after her death, Cassie's friends and family painted a mural in her honor in front of the Pocatello High School. The house on Whispering Cliffs Drive is still there, and from the latest source that we could find, is still in possession of Cassie's aunt and uncle, though they have listed it since the year following Cassie's murder. They had only bought the property the year before Cassie's murder, and they have said in interviews that no one goes into the living room they can't bear to. Cassie's niece, who discovered the body, has a lot of mental issues leading to a suicide attempt, and always seek help. You matter. You are more than your circumstances. Please, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem. If you are feeling suicidal, ask for help. Reach out to us. Reach out to, is it 811?
I want to say it's.
No, 811.
I want to say it's 811 is the national.
The suicide prevention hotline.
Is there still a code for that, or is it not like that?
Or reach out to 911. 911 would help you as well.
They'll direct you to the right place.
Absolutely. In one interview, however, her uncle says that they have all had encounters with what they believe to be Cassie's spirit in the home. He doesn't describe the encounters, but he does state that they know her presence is still felt in the home.
Yeah, that brings us to our summary and final thoughts. So, Krys, am I right in thinking that
summary and final thoughts on this one? I think we've been pretty vocal this time, dear.
Yeah, but I was just going to ask Krys. So, have we added 2 more people to the hall of people that Krys doesn't like? Because there's Ken Rex McElroy that you didn't like. There's
Don't forget
Sharon Kinney that you didn't like.
Sharon Kinney.
There is, I want to say a couple others that you didn't like.
I feel like Krista just likes good people, and she doesn't like bad ones for the most part. Horrible people who commit horrible crimes. That's what Krista doesn't like.
Horrible thing.
But so yeah, these are 2 more people for the hall of people Krys doesn't like.
Hall of shame.
And the Chris's Hall of Shame is bad because I've had people who manipulate me or who have manipulated me, and I still don't I still didn't care. Person who we will not name, one of my exes.
The ex who shall not be named.
The ex who shall not be named, because I'm still gonna be respectful, even though they were never really respectful to me.
She always did find a way to bug you.
Shut your face! I just said we weren't gonna do that.
He didn't do anything. He was seriously talking about how your ex bugged you.
Okay. But I still respected her even after we broke up. But so yeah, it's hard to get to my bad spots. It's really hard. But when you do something like that. And I hope you get locked up in a room with spikes and you die a very slow death.
You know what I'm kind of curious about? I'm kind of curious about how big they thought they were once they got into that big prison.
That is I wanna cheer that, but at the same time, I just feel like this whole thing is kind of sad. You have these 2 misguided idiots
They were evil. They were evil.
Oh, they were, but I think if Draper and Adamczyk had never met, this wouldn't have happened.
No, I don't think that's true. Maybe not to Cassie, but Adam Chick would have gone on, and I honestly believe, my final thought, I honestly believe that when he was 12 and he was trying to figure out how to do it, if he had been able to figure out, he would have taken out as many people as he could.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
And so he was bound and determined. He was downright absolutely evil. And I'm sorry, I have gotten talked into a lot of things in my life. But if you have so little of a voice that somebody can talk you into stalking and murdering another human being and get you all riled up so that you're sitting there cheering it on and talking it up right alongside with them, you need to be locked up, because if you can actually commit that crime, you don't need to be walking on the street.
yeah, no, you don't need to be.
Not this way. Everyone, I think, is probably capable of murder under the right circumstances. Some sick son of a bitch gets a hold of, sorry, you'll have to bleep it, gets a hold of my baby and does something to them, and I get 5 minutes alone with that person, I'm gonna make that Jigsaw and Saw look like nobody's business. I'm gonna rip him to pieces if the opportunity presented itself. But just to go out and stalk someone who did nothing.
And someone who is supposed to be your friend.
Yes.
And that's what, like.
And you know what? I say that now, but I don't even think, even if somebody did something to my child, that I could do it. Like, it's a great idea, and I would want to with every fiber of my being, but there is a piece in my brain that just will not let me do something like that to another human being, even if I think they're the biggest, most vile piece of scum to ever walk the planet. I couldn't ever take somebody's life. That is not in me. Even if you took the most precious thing to me, I am not that bit of evil. And anyone out there who says anything about me, and the people that I'm referring to probably don't listen to our podcast, but I'm a lot of things, but I'm a good person, and I wouldn't hurt somebody even if they hurt me.
Right. And I guess that for me is the thing. That's like, if they had done it and maybe felt remorse, like it was a kid thing,
Yeah.
I might look at it a little differently. But the very fact, like, you've got all this buildup, and then the next day you're hanging out with Matt going, dude, she's watching her uncle's house. She's probably feeding the cats, checking on the horses, whatever. Because I know they had fenced pastures. I don't know if they had animals or whatever.
Yeah.
But, for you to sit there and do that, knowing that you killed her, that is evil. That right there is pure evil.
I mean, they sat down there and they broke like 2 glass ashtrays and slammed doors and did everything. And not only did they want to murder her, they wanted to torment her and murder her. That was the reasoning behind all of the door slamming and breaking things. And they wanted her scared before they murdered her.
Oh, yeah, they wanted her terrified because they were using Scream as kind of a blueprint for what they were doing.
Yeah.
But
it's so sick and sad.
Yeah.
So sick and sad.
So I guess for me, my final thought is throw away the key, because I don't think there's any way, even if you can redeem them.
Yeah.
If they're sitting next to me on the bus, I'm moving.
Yeah.
I'm not moving. I'm committing assault. I don't care.
No, you're not.
But so I just, I guess their hope is that we colonize Mars, because then we can send criminals there to build up Mars like the English did with Australia. And sure, we'll lose some of them, but they're criminals. So why does it matter, really? Especially these two little idiots. I can't.
Okay, no, Mom, you're right. No matter how much I hate people, I wouldn't even kill Sharon Kitty.
Yeah.
I don't like hurting people. I don't like seeing people hurt.
Right.
I just really dislike it when people hurt innocent
Others.
people for no
Yeah.
reason.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that it bears to mind, and obviously I get mental illness is a thing. Okay, I absolutely get that. But at the same time, there are some, even people who are mentally ill have periods of clarity. And in that period of clarity, you go, I was honestly planning this. I need to get some help.
Right.
I need to tell a school counselor, I'm thinking about doing this. I need to call somebody and tell somebody. Just the fact that they had decided that they were these big dudes who could do this, and there wasn't even a reason for it. These were friends. These were not even people that were tormenting them, torturing them. And I think that needs to be brought to light too. Bullying is a horrible travesty. And people have committed things like mass murders because they were bullied, because they were tortured. That's not what this was.
No.
This was, they decided that they had the right and they were going to make a name for themselves. They were going to change history. These people, these kids wanted to be bad. They wanted history to change. They wanted us to talk about them like this. That was their goal.
Oh, they're definitely entitled. And it's an entitlement that I'm not sure they could see even today.
Overall, it's just heartbreaking that there are still people in this day and age who think that they don't have to answer to anyone, who think that they are above the laws that we have in this country, who think that they are better than other people. We are made of the same blood and bones and muscle and sinew and hydrogen and oxygen and carbon. We are made of the same building blocks. Who are you to take my brother or sister from me? Who are you to take this little girl away from her family, to try to take this young man, to try to take other little girls away from their family, to gang up and want to take away people's lives just because, just to make a name for yourself? It's wrong, and it's sick, and it's sad that there are people who think that's okay. And that is where it's not, this isn't necessarily a spooky, it doesn't fit into spooky season because it's spooky, because people like this really are the true horror that we have to feel, that we have to fear all year around, not just at spooky season, not just when we're saying boo and watching scary movies and stuff. This is the horror that we all, should sweat and be scared of.
Yeah, and a lot of people will use stories like this. Well, that's why they shouldn't make movies like Scream or violent video games. No. But I tell you what, take all that away, they still would have done it.
Yeah.
And the thing that I'm happiest about is that I won't remember their names in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. Like, now, I'll probably remember the name Cassie Jo Stoddart for the rest of my life. And I think that's the way
it should be.
Yeah.
I mean, if it had to be that, at the very least,
I think it's more important to remember the victims and let the killers fall into oblivion. Like,
And I think Matt is a victim still, even though he was not murdered. I think that Cassie's parents are definitely victims still. They have lost so much of their life thanks to these the terrible choices made by these young men.
yeah, absolutely. And her aunt, uncle, and niece.
Yeah.
Those, as far as I could tell, they still live in the home because they can't sell it.
Right.
And I just, and I guess that like, in that way, it sort of touches on last week's episode, the Amityville, in that the house in Amityville, in that something awful happened in that place, and it started something else. And I think these two brought the awful with them. But I still, the family still has to live there. They don't go into their own living room. It's just sad.
Okay.
Anything you want to add, Pumpkin, before we get out of here?
That brings us to the end of our episode for this week.
Yeah, if I opened my mouth about one more thing,
And that's it. That is our episode for this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Want to tell us about it? Do it in our Facebook group. Want to give us a show idea? Yeah. Thanks, as always, for listening. Thanks to Bill Barrett, who does our theme music. That last name is spelled Behrendt. If you need music for a project, if you need someone to play an event, Bill's your guy. You can reach him at billbarrett@sbcglobal.net. Also, thanks to Paige Elmore of Reverie Crime Podcast. Paige also has a Canva addiction, so she, along with Krista, did our logo art. Thank you, Paige. Thanks to Aaron Gunnerk of the Big Dumb Fun Show, who continues to promote us locally. Join us next week as we look into Robert the Doll.
Talk about Robert the Doll. That thing is creepy.
Way creepy.
Bye.
Bye.